Have you ever wondered who invented the radio? Our journey begins in the era of great scientific discoveries, the 19th century, when the concept of wireless communication was merely a dream. Back then, the telegraph was the crown jewel of long-distance communication. It was a system that transmitted messages over vast distances using a network of wires and electrical signals. But the idea of transmitting messages without wires? That was revolutionary. The telegraph was a breakthrough, but its limitation was evident. It required a physical connection. Imagine a world where messages could travel freely through the air, unhindered by the constraints of wires. This was the world that the pioneers of wireless communication envisioned. The first attempts at wireless telegraphy were indeed audacious. The challenges were manifold. For one, the technology to produce and detect electromagnetic waves was in its infancy. The understanding of these waves and how they could be harnessed for communication was limited. Yet, undeterred by these obstacles, the pioneers plunged headlong into the unknown. They experimented with different methods and technologies. Some used light signals, while others experimented with electrical conduction through water or ground. Despite their best efforts, the results were far from satisfactory. The signals were weak and unreliable, and the range of transmission was severely limited. It seemed like the dream of wireless communication was just that, a dream. But then, a glimmer of hope emerged. Scientists discovered that electromagnetic waves could travel long distances and penetrate various obstacles. This was a game changer. It opened up a world of possibilities for wireless communication. It was the dawn of a new era, the era of radio. The pioneers of wireless communication had taken the first step towards making the dream a reality. They had laid the groundwork for what would become one of the most influential inventions of the 20th century. But the question remains, who was the first to successfully invent a functioning radio? There are quite a few notable figures who claim to have invented the radio. This statement rings true as the birth of radio was not a singular event, but a cumulative effort of many brilliant minds. Let's start with Guglielmo Marconi, an Italian inventor often celebrated as the father of long-distance radio transmission. Marconi was fascinated by the power of radio waves to travel long distances without the need for wires. He patented his invention in England in 1896, and the following year, he established radio communication points that stretched across the Atlantic Ocean. On the other side of the globe, we have Nikola Tesla, a Serbian-American inventor known for his high-voltage, high-frequency power experiments. Tesla is often credited with developing the fundamentals of radio technology. His work on alternating current and his demonstration of a wireless transmission in 1893 at the Chicago World's Fair were groundbreaking. However, his patent application for radio technology was initially declined due to Marconi's earlier filing. And then there was Alexander Popov, a Russian physicist who, unbeknownst to Marconi and Tesla, was independently working on similar radio wave experiments. Popov presented his radio receiver, capable of detecting lightning strikes miles away, to the Russian Physical and Chemical Society in 1895. Despite this, his work remained largely unknown outside of Russia for many years. These three men, each from different corners of the world, were all instrumental in the development of radio technology. Marconi, with his practical application of radio waves for communication, Tesla with his theoretical groundwork and high-frequency experiments, and Popov with his practical radio receiver, all contributed to the invention of the radio as we know it today. Yet, the question remains, who among these men can we truly credit with the invention of the radio? Was it Marconi with his transatlantic communication, Tesla with his groundbreaking theories, or Popov with his practical receiver? These men all played pivotal roles, but who was the one to truly bring radio to life? Guglielmo Marconi, an Italian inventor, is often credited as the father of radio. Born into a wealthy family in Bologna, Italy, Marconi was a curious and ambitious young man. He was fascinated by the invisible forces of nature, in particular, the mysterious phenomenon of electromagnetic waves. Marconi started experimenting with these waves in the attic of his family's home. He had a vision, a world connected by invisible waves, carrying messages across vast distances. In 1895, Marconi successfully sent a radio signal over a distance of 1.5 miles, a feat that was unheard of at the time. But Marconi wasn't satisfied. He wanted to prove that radio waves weren't limited by the Earth's curvature. So, he set his sights on the Atlantic Ocean, a challenge that many thought was impossible. But in 1901, Marconi stunned the world. He successfully transmitted a signal from Cornwall, England to Newfoundland, Canada. a distance of over 2,000 miles. It was a major breakthrough that proved radio waves could indeed be used for long-distance communication. Marconi's success didn't go unnoticed. In 1909, he was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics, which he shared with physicist Carl Ferdinand Braun. The Nobel Committee recognized their contributions to the development of wireless telegraphy. Marconi's work revolutionized communication. His experiments led to the development of the radio as we know it today, a tool that has shaped the world in countless ways. It enabled long-distance communication, news broadcasting, and even entertainment. But let's take a step back. While Marconi is often celebrated as the father of radio, he was standing on the shoulders of giants. He built upon the work of scientists like James Clerk Maxwell and Heinrich Hertz, who had laid the groundwork for understanding electromagnetic waves. Marconi's work was groundbreaking, but was he really the first to invent the radio? As we delve deeper into the history of radio, we'll encounter another contender, a man known for his eccentricity and genius, Nikola Tesla. But that's a story for the next scene. Nikola Tesla, a name synonymous with innovation, also staked his claim in the race to invent the radio. This eccentric genius, born in the mid-19th century, was a visionary who held more than 300 patents to his name. Tesla's work with radio technology started in the late 1800s. He was fascinated by the idea of transmitting energy wirelessly. He dreamt of a world where information could be sent through the air without wires, a vision that is today's reality. His experiments led to the development of the Tesla coil, a device essential for sending and receiving radio signals. But Tesla's journey was not without its roadblocks. Enter Guglielmo Marconi, an Italian inventor who was also working on wireless technology. Marconi applied for a patent in the United States for his version of a radio, which was granted in 1904. This was controversial because Tesla had already filed for similar patents years earlier, which were initially granted, but later overturned. Despite this, Tesla continued his work undeterred. He was a man of science, not of petty patent squabbles. His focus was on the advancement of technology for the betterment of humanity, not personal gain. Even though he was not credited with the invention of the radio during his lifetime, Tesla's work laid the groundwork for future generations. It wasn't until 2 years after Tesla's death that the United States Supreme Court ruled in his favor, overturning Marconi's patent in 1943. They acknowledged that Tesla's patents had predated Marconi's. This posthumous recognition, though a small consolation, reinstated Tesla's rightful place in the annals of radio technology. Tesla's contribution to radio technology is undeniable. His vision, his experiments, and his sheer determination paved the way for the wireless world we live in today. But it begs the question, Tesla's contribution was significant, but does that make him the inventor of the radio? So, who really invented the radio? The question hangs heavy in the air, a lingering debate that has persisted for over a century. The invention of the radio, you see, isn't as clear-cut as we'd like to believe. Two names often surface in this discussion: Guglielmo Marconi, the Italian inventor known for his pioneering work on long-distance radio transmission, and Nikola Tesla, the Serbian-American inventor, electrical engineer, mechanical engineer, and physicist. The U.S. Supreme Court stepped into the fray in 1943. In a surprising turn of events, the court invalidated Marconi's patent, recognizing Tesla's earlier patents as the basis for radio technology. The court's decision was a posthumous recognition of Tesla's work, as he had passed away earlier that same year. But does this decision unequivocally crown Tesla as the inventor of the radio? Not necessarily. While it's true that Tesla's patents laid the groundwork for radio technology, Marconi's practical application and development of this technology were instrumental in bringing it into the mainstream. The reality, as is often the case with significant inventions, is that the creation of the radio was a collective effort, a symphony of brilliant minds working in harmony, though often unbeknownst to each other. It was a product of numerous innovations and discoveries made by several scientists and inventors over the years, each contributing a piece to the complex puzzle that is radio technology. We have the likes of James Clerk Maxwell and his theories of electromagnetic waves, Heinrich Rudolf Hertz and his proof of their existence, and Sir Oliver Lodge with his work on tuning and transmitting radio waves to acknowledge, among others. So, the question of who invented the radio isn't one with a simple answer. It's a testament to the collective genius of humanity, a reminder that the greatest inventions are often the results of many minds, rather than one. The invention of the radio, it seems, was not the work of a single inventor, but the culmination of many brilliant minds.